Okay, so have you walked through a supermarket lately and just felt like protein is the only word you see?
Oh, absolutely.
It's like plastered on everything, bread, ice cream. I even saw it on instant noodles and frozen pizzas.
Yeah.
It really feels like it's become the magic word for marketers, doesn't it?
It totally has. It really shows how one single nutrient can just grab all the attention, whether it's dominating our chats, our shopping, everything.
Right. So today we're going on a deep dive into this whole protein obsession thing, like what's really driving it, what's actually in these products that shout protein, and maybe the big question, what do different experts say? Do we actually need all this extra protein?
Yeah, that's the core of it.
Our mission here is basically to pull out the key bits of info so you can feel genuinely clued up on this.
Okay, sounds good. And to figure this out, we'll be looking at insights from, well, a few different places. There's this fun food podcast, The Culinary Cul-de-Sac, then a pretty detailed look at protein bar ingredients from The Late Late Show, and also a really strong viewpoint from a doctor who's all for much higher protein intake.
Okay, let's start with just how widespread this is. Protein is, genuinely everywhere. It's not just for bodybuilders anymore. The Culinary Cul-de-Sac podcast, they told this story about buying just a normal loaf of bread and the packet screaming, plus protein. It's like, my toast needs a gym membership now.
Slight laugh. Yeah, it's pretty remarkable. The hosts there were saying how it sneaked into everything, ice cream, instant noodles. It's a marketer's dream, really.
And they even talked about this like unhinged short video they found online. It just perfectly nailed the absurdity of it all. Started with real pics of frozen pizzas.
Oh, the protein pizza.
Yeah.
From a budget supermarket, huge letters. Protein.
The classic protein pizza. The idea being, I guess, that the protein cancels out all the, sodium and fat.
Exactly. But it got wilder. The video then showed this, ridiculously muscular guy in his super tight T-shirt.
That said protein police. Like he was going to write you a ticket for low protein.
Laughs. Okay, that's pretty funny.
Then it cuts to a petrol pump playing on the whole protein is fuel idea, right?
Right, the fuel metaphor.
But the handle was labeled protein. Like you're literally pumping liquid muscle into your car or body.
Yeah, that perfectly captures the marketing, doesn't it?
Right. Yeah.
It's never just, oh, this has a bit more protein. It's always these big promises like unleash your potential or fuel your gains.
Totally.
It's selling a lifestyle, way beyond just basic nutrition.
And the video finished with pictures of protein gummies.
Oh, wow.
They've come for our candy now. First pizza, now sweets are workout fuel. Is anything safe?
Doesn't seem like it. And that protein pizza example, that's textbook, what nutrition folks call the health halo effect.
A health halo. Okay, explain that. How much does this trick work on us? What's the wildest example you've seen?
Well, the health halo isn't just, a simple trick.
Yeah.
It's this deep psychological shortcut our brains love. You see protein on that pizza box.
Yeah.
And your brain kind of just glosses over the sodium, the saturated fat, all the refined carbs. It's this strong bias where one good thing makes the whole thing seem healthy.
Huh. So my protein coffee isn't actually making me a superhero.
Oh.
Shocking.
Chuckles. Probably not, no. But what's really interesting here, or maybe ironic, is that, yes, protein is essential, absolutely.
Right.
But most people, especially here in Europe and North America, they're already getting more than enough.
Really? More than enough?
Yeah, and this hyper-focus on protein means we're often forgetting other really important stuff like fiber. Everyone's counting protein grams and ignoring their veggies. The Culinary Cul-de-Sac even mentioned this extreme case. Someone was blending a steak into a smoothie for a protein boost.
Wait, a steak smoothie? That's... Wow, that takes the fuel idea somewhere I didn't think it could go. What would that even taste like?
Exactly. Yeah. It just shows taking that protein as fuel idea to its absolute most illogical end. Your body just isn't a petrol tank,
Okay, so beyond the marketing hype, what is actually in these things? Let's look under the hood of something like a protein bar. The Late Late Show did a segment on this, right? They said the main ingredient is often whey.
Yeah, whey. And it's kind of funny because whey used to be just, basically waste from making cheese.
Seriously, waste?
Yeah, a byproduct nobody really wanted. Now it's this premium go-to protein source. Amazing turnaround. And for bars trying to avoid actual sugar, they use a whole bunch of different sweeteners instead.
Okay, sweeteners. And what about fiber? The show mentioned dietary fiber.
Right, dietary fiber, often used as a binder, holds the bar together.
Okay.
And this kind of fiber, it mostly passes through your system without adding calories.
Yeah.
Until it hits the lower intestine. Then the gut bacteria get to work.
And that means?
Well, for some people, that breakdown process can mean gas, bloating, the usual suspects. Hydrogen, methane, carbon dioxide.
Slight laugh.
Right.
Fun times.
Indeed. And then you've got the artificial sweeteners, often things called sugar alcohols or polyols.
Polyols.
Yeah, they're clever, actually. Almost as sweet as sugar, sometimes just as sweet, but with roughly half the calories.
Sounds good, but there's a catch.
There can be. For quite a few people, consuming them can cause, well, a spectrum of digestive stuff. From, more gas and tummy rumbles, all the way up to diarrhea, or, as the show put it, a full-on dose of the shits. Though, it's important to say not everyone reacts that way. It varies a lot.
Yikes. Okay, and then there was sucralose. They mentioned that one, too.
Oh, yeah, sucralose. Described as a very clever little one. It's basically sugar that's been chemically altered, synthesized with chlorine, essentially. Yeah. The description was disgusting and also very, very particularly sweet, but maybe acidic or something. An artificial taste, basically.
Huh. Okay, so lots of interesting stuff in those bars. But this brings up a bigger point, right? Despite the marketing, the weird ingredients, is protein itself actually important? We should probably look at the other side of the coin.
Exactly. Let's bring in a different view. Dr. Axe, for instance, has a really strong take on this. He argues that protein is absolutely crucial. He says understanding it is vital for overall health and physical performance.
Okay.
And he goes further, saying just about everyone is deficient in quality protein in their diet.
Whoa, okay. Everyone is deficient. That sounds pretty different from what you said earlier about most people getting enough. Is his view, common or more niche?
It's definitely on the higher end of the scale compared to standard guidelines. His whole framing is that protein is the fundamental thing, the building block of your cells, your muscles.
Right.
The thing that boosts your metabolism, helps burn fat. He literally says nothing is more important than protein. Calls it the fuel that motivates and really supports your body in building healthy tissues and cells.
Okay, that's a strong stance. Does he give specific numbers? How much should we be getting according to him?
He does. He suggests, quote, the average person probably needs half their body weight in protein a day.
Half their body weight. In grams, presumably.
In grams, yes. So his example is if you weigh 150 pounds, you need at least probably around 75 grams of protein a day, especially if you're trying to burn fat and build muscle. And he adds that for athletes, more than that is going to be essential.
75 grams for a 150-pound person. Okay. And is it just any protein, or is he specific about sources?
Oh, he's very specific about the type of protein. Quality is key for him. He lists his best forms. Things like grass-fed beef, organic chicken and turkey, wild-caught salmon, grass-fed organic dairy.
Okay, so emphasis on grass-fed and organic.
Definitely. And also good quality protein powders, like grass-fed whey protein. For plant sources, he mentions flax and chia seeds, other nuts, seeds, and beans. But the core message is quality matters hugely.
And beyond just muscle, what other benefits does he highlight?
He lists quite a few. The biggest benefits, he calls them. Things like fat burning, obviously muscle recovery, but also healing cuts and wounds, fighting diabetes by balancing blood sugar, even brain function, mentioning depression and brain issues, and also cholesterol management and just having high energy levels. He sees it as really foundational for overall health.
Interesting. It sounds like he sees protein as the solution to a lot of things.
Pretty much. And this leads to a really critical point. He makes a warning, actually, about conventional protein quality.
Okay. What's the warning?
He argues that most protein you find in, say, regular restaurants or supermarkets, the conventional stuff, it's not the grass-fed organic kind he recommends.
Right.
He believes it's often loaded with hormones, antibiotics, steroids, and other chemicals that will actually destroy your health. That's a direct quote.
Wow, destroy your health. That's strong.
Very. He really emphasizes that protein is the most important thing to buy organic and grass-fed. That quality distinction is central to his whole argument.
Okay. So for you listening, if you're curious about your own intake based on his view, Dr. Axe actually gave a practical tip, didn't he?
He did. He suggested you do a few journals. Basically, write down everything you eat for, say, 3 days, and then actually add up the grams of protein you consumed. He recommended a website, nutritiondata.com, as a tool to look up the protein content in different foods.
Right, so a bit of homework if you want to follow his advice.
Exactly.
Okay, so Pulling this all together, what does this actually mean for you listening? We've seen the crazy marketing hype.
Yeah.
We've peeked inside some of these processed protein products, seen some surprising ingredients.
Definitely.
And then we heard this really passionate case from Dr. Axe about why protein is supposedly the most vital thing. It's kind of a lot to take in.
It is. And I think the takeaway isn't really that protein is bad or good inherently. It's all about the context, right? For most people, like we said, a balanced diet with plenty of whole foods, that's probably going to give you all the protein you actually need.
So you don't need your pizza to have a gym membership, basically.
Exactly. You probably don't. It's more about being a savvy consumer, isn't it? Understanding if you personally might have a reason to need more protein, or if you're just, falling for that magic word on the packaging.
Right. Being discerning.
Yeah.
So maybe a final thought for you, the learner, to chew on. In this world where we're constantly told that one nutrient is the secret key, first it was low fat, now it's high protein. What else might we be missing?
Good question.
What does this whole protein obsession say about how we think about food? And are other really important things, like that fiber we mentioned, kind of getting ignored because we're so focused on this one thing?